Welcome everyone, I'm Archit Tashadri. Thanks so much for watching India Prime on WION, the only Indian channel that gets you a global perspective. Tonight, what's next for liquor baron Vijay Mallya? Over the next 30 minutes, we'll discuss Mallya's arrest and bail in London. We'll get political reaction as well as get a glimpse of the legal ramifications. But first, the latest, a background on this story making headlines this hour. Well, the UK's Scotland Yard arrested India's liquor baron Vijay Mallya earlier this afternoon after he defaulted on a huge loan of 9,000 crore rupees. That's about 1.4 billion US dollars. Within 3 hours after his arrest, 61-year-old Mallya got bail. He's now back home. Indian authorities have accused Mallya of fraud after he fled India last March. Mallya's now defunct Kingfisher Airlines owes more than 9,000 crore rupees to various banks. Mallya has repeatedly dismissed these charges against him. He's defended himself many times using Twitter. Early in January, he said not 1 rupee was misused. After today's arrest and bail, Mallya was quick. He took to Twitter and tweeted this. Take a look. Quote, "Usual Indian media hype. Extradition hearing started today as expected." Mallya tweeted as he was released on bail. End quote. All right, so before we start our debate and get perspective from both Congress and the BJP spokespersons, as well as our list of correspondents, let's get some reaction first, starting with political reaction.
A technical arrest immediately, bail is granted. Now the procedures will continue. And for the government to be telling people here that we've done something very big, I think it's a little premature.
Deportation would have led to immediate handing over of Vijay Mallya, who has fled with 9,091 crore rupees of India's banks and people from here to London under the watch of BJP government. The reason was extradition can take up to a dozen years. It is only step one. Bharatiya Janata Party and its government should stop befooling people of India.
The government of India was committed from day one that Mr. Mallya should be arrested, and if he has been arrested in London, then you must give credit to the government of India for him being arrested by the Scotland Yard.
The government should have moved for his extradition long ago and sought his arrest long ago.
So you mean to say that the government has...
The government first allowed him to go, and thereafter it was lax and slow in initiating proceedings for his arrest and extradition.
वेस्टमिनिस्टर कोर्ट के अंदर उनको जमानत पर लिया गया है, जो जानकारी में हमारी आया है। आगे तथ्यों की हम जानकारी कर रहे हैं कि कैसे उनको हम अपने देश में वापस लाएं और उनके खिलाफ कानून के हिसाब से कार्रवाई करें।
Now it is for Mr. Vijay Mallya to take recourse to such legal processes as are available. It is possible for him to challenge the warrant in English courts, and therefore let us see how the matter unfolds. Extradition is a long drawn process, but the first step in extradition seems to have been successfully executed.
All right, let's also get some reaction from former Kingfisher employees with regards to Vijay Mallya's arrest and bail.
So we are hopeful that now we see a ray of hope that Dr. Mallya one fine day would probably be extradited to India, and the government will recover our dues and pay us back our dues.
I'm happy that it at least happened that he was arrested for the while that he was. We hope that justice prevails. He's brought to India. He faces the music, and India comes out stronger, showing that we do fight for justice and we take things to their logical conclusion.
We are really looking forward to at least all the people who have worked for him and who all the employees, all we're looking for is to get what is really due to us. So let's hope that the right thing is done, the right process is followed.
I think the government did take up the matter very seriously and did follow up. And I think they've achieved what they wanted to. And I'm sure, I think the Indian government did a very fine job, I think.
All right, to get perspective on this story, what is next for Vijay Mallya? Let's introduce tonight's guests on India Prime. First up, we have Dr. Ijaz Ilmi, a spokesperson for the BJP. We also have Vijay Panjwani, an advocate for the Supreme Court. We have Dr. Shama Mohammed here in the studio, a spokesperson for Congress. We have our London Bureau Chief, Mandy Clark, and WION's senior correspondent, Raghavendra Rao. We'll get to all of you in just a moment, but first, I would like to ask our question to the Congress spokesperson. Shama, first of all, there's been a blame game back and forth between both parties. What is the Congress's stance with regards to this? Is there speculation that this should have been done a lot earlier?
I didn't understand the blame game part you're trying to say. Of course, we have been relentless in saying that Vijay Mallya should be brought to book. I mean, it's brought to book. It's been a long time. The CBI filed charges in 2015 July. Why was he not arrested? Why was his passport not held? And a lookout notice also was given by the CBI, but he left the country easily on, I think it was 2016, March 2nd is when he left this country. So why? And there were cases after that. The ED investigated him, the SEBI investigated him, but he was, there was no purpose. The thing is, when there is a thief like him who has taken money, plundered that money, it is owed to our taxpayers. Why did you let him leave the country? The extradition process in the United Kingdom is a long process. Also, since he left the country last year, why was the extradition request not given last year? Why did it take 1 year, 9th of Feb 2017, to give this request is the question to the Bharatiya Janata Party. That why was it not done earlier? And now we are happy that he's been arrested. We, the Congress Party, want him back in this country, want him to pay back the loans, want him behind bars. The corrupt have to be caught. But my question is, why was he in the first place allowed to leave this country? Because the extradition process, which was signed in 1993 between United Kingdom and India, takes a long process because it can go up to the Supreme Court. In UK. So how long is it going to take is the question now. And why not deportation?
All right, let's get reaction from the BJP. Dr. Aijaz Ilmi joining us now to get reaction. How would you like to respond? Why did it take so long?
Well, it's very, very clear that within 1 year of his running away like a coward and absconding from the due process of the law in India, the government of India has been relentlessly chasing him, hounding him, and building a watertight case where, whether the ED is concerned, finance ministry is concerned, arresting a few of his cronies and cohorts, like the former IDBI chairman. There has been due process which has been followed, and no shoddy work has been done. In fact, immaculate work has been done. A legal case presented, taken to the court, extradition treaty invoked, and sent to the UK authorities under various acts, including the Money Laundering Act, and such a financial fraud, which is finally being the first important step was to get him arrested in a court where he's absconding, and then seek and apply the full force of the law of the land and the government and the evidence that we have, and try and recover all the 9,000 crores of the public money that he has looted, squandered, swindled. So the government of India needs to be congratulated on a very hard, painstaking effort to build a case and to finally get to somebody like Dr. Vijay Mallya, who actually looted and got most of his loans from 2007, 2010 under the watch of Mr. Chidambaram and Dr. Manmohan Singh, who actually looked away and allowed this money to be swindled, looted.
All right, I'm going to have you pause for a second. Let me go to
given to Mr. Dr. Mallya. We will make sure every money is got back.
All right, let me have you pause for a second. I want to go to Shama Mahaban Rao to interrupt.
I want 2 points to rebut. One is that why was he not arrested when CBI filed charges? ED was investigating him, SEBI was investigating. Why was he not arrested? He was let loose. Number 2, is it a crime to lend money to corporates? Now, when there is a man who robs a bank, before he robs the bank, he's a normal man. Once he robs a bank, he's a robber, a thief. Now, when we lend the money, he was a normal man, he was a corporate. Who is the bigger criminal in the Bharatiya Janata Party, who let him, after knowing that he's a thief, they let him leave this country, they let him escape. So the fault is definitely at the doorstep of the Bharatiya Janata Party. So lending corporates, in the last 3 years, you have lent around 6,000 crores. Will you stop lending to corporates? Tell me that.
How would you like to respond to that, Mr. Dr. Ilmi?
Well, it's very clear that yes, but you do due diligence. You take securities not on fictitious papers, on connivance of senior government chairmen under the watchful eye of the finance minister. Were they looking away? Were they sleeping on the job? Were they sleeping on the job? Were they sleeping on the job? Where crores could be swindled, thousands of crores could be swindled.
Sleeping on the
That
job?
is the story out
Who
here.
was sleeping
The story
on the
is
job?
the swindling is over, the swindler is gone, but the swindler will be bought back by this government. That is the story.
We will see that.
All
We're
right,
very happy. Please bring him back. That's
in the
what we
essence of
also
time,
want.
I still want to get to all of our guests, but I still want to continue with Dr. Ilmi. There were multiple agencies who were interrogating Mallya. How is it possible that his passport wasn't confiscated, his travel not restricted? They had about 20 months to act, I understand. How do you respond to that?
Well, it's clear that there was a case being built up, documentation was required, and obviously there were loopholes where he managed to get away and slip away. We were chasing him for a long time. We were building a watertight case, and he knew that this government under Narendra Modi is the one that will go after all these rich and flashy swindlers who have defrauded the public and the nation. That's exactly what has happened. It's a message to everybody. You can be rich, rich and flashy, high and mighty, but this government is going to go after you if you defraud people, public and the nation.
All right, let me go to Dr. Mohammed real quick with regards to another allegation for the Congress, an allegation that your government went out of the way to secure these bailout loans for the Kingfisher Airlines. Do you really think that this all started there? Could this have been avoided and not lead to a situation where we're at right now? Dr. Mohammed, go ahead. Shama.
Oh,
yes.
So because I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, absolutely. The question to you is your government, there was an allegation that the government went out of the way to get these loans for Kingfisher Airlines. Could this story have been prevented? Is that where it starts? There is a sort of this back and forth.
No.
Could we have avoided this situation?
No, we didn't go out of the way. Corporates in our country are lent loans. In the last 3 years, how many corporates have been lent loans? You know, we need to write, they've been writing them off also. You know the truth. So we, just like any other corporate, we lend him money. And what happened was, like you asked Dr. Ilmi, why was the passport not confiscated when several of them, when he's a criminal, when he defaulted, he's a criminal. Before that, he is not. He's defaulted. And you have not confiscated. You had all the agencies investigating him. Mr. Mukul Rohtagi said in 2016 in February that, you know, there is a problem here. We have to be careful with this person. But then he was let loose. He left. Why was his passport not confiscated, impounded, and he wouldn't have been able to leave this country? And what happened to the lookout notices by the CBI? Why wasn't he not stopped at the airport? Is Vijay Mallya not conspicuous? Did he go in a suitcase?
All right, we'll get to our political guests in just a second, but I want to bring in our correspondents. We have Mandy Clark and Raghavendra Rao standing by. Mandy, first of all, you understand the UK political landscape. How could the MEA get him extradited so quickly, and how different are the legal implications in the UK and in India? Mandy.
Well, to answer one of your guests asked why couldn't he be deported. The minute he came to the UK, India did cancel his Indian passport, but he also has a valid UK passport. So that's why he couldn't be simply just deported from the UK. But he was, they did sign for extradition papers, and it moved remarkably quickly, the arrest. Normally, it's a very long process. With lots of red tape. But the UK certainly seemed to be working hand in glove with the Indian government to get the arrest happen. Now he went in front of magistrate's court. He's on bail. That would have meant that they don't believe he's going to be a flight risk. His next court appearance is in a month's time on May 17th, and where he's going to make his case why he should not be extradited back to India. Of course, Indian lawyers will argue the point. What the UK judge is really going to be looking for is whether he's going to have correct legal framework there. And human rights is the big one. Will his human rights be respected? What they're looking for is he would not be at risk of torture, and also he would not face the death penalty, because both those parts are not allowed in British law and also in Indian law. But those are the main factors going to be looking for. Even if the judge says he can be extradited, he has the right to appeal, and he can appeal numerous times all the way to the Supreme Court. So this could be a rather drawn-out process.
A long, drawn-out process possible. We'll have to wait and watch. Let me bring in Raghavendra Rao standing by in New Delhi. Raghavendra, why is Vijay Mallya so important to India? And let's also talk a little bit about the architecture of the crime. This isn't something that just happened overnight. It's been drawn out, and the road ahead seems like a long one.
Well, it's an unprecedented case of sorts. The fact that a businessman, a business tycoon at that, has fled India and is accused of having defrauded on loans worth 9,000 crores. Something like this has never happened before in this country. And in this particular government, the Narendra Modi government, now, the feeling and the, underlying emotion is that the message which India needs to send out to people who have been indulging in such acts is that even if you leave the country, you will not be out of bounds for the law and the legal machinery of this country. And that is why Vijay Mallya, this is a test case of sorts for this government, for Indian legal and judicial system, because this is a case through which the Indian government and the Indian authorities want to convey to India and to the rest of the world that any businessman, however influential or powerful he may be, but if he indulges in something like that, if he is accused of having defrauded loans worth 9,000 crores,
right,
and if that can be proven in a court of law, he will not be allowed to go scot-free. So the message here is that India will go all out to secure Mr. Mallya's extradition. He will be brought back to India, and he will have to go through the legal process here, and he will be made accountable for all the acts.
All right, I'm going to have all of you guys just stand by for a moment. I want to talk really quickly some of the legal implications. If Vijay Mallya is extradited, he will become the second Indian to be extradited from the UK. So let's talk really quickly about some of those legalities and break them down. What exactly do they mean? Well, a CBI court issued a non-bailable warrant against Mallya just 3 months back in the loan default case. India's CBI team will head to London shortly to extradite him. India, which has an extradition treaty with the UK, has asked Britain last November to extradite nearly 60 people, including Mallya, to face trial in an Indian court. India wanted Britain to extradite Mallya to face trial after he was charged with conspiracy and loan fraud. A formal request was filed back in February. India urged Britain, saying it is legitimate, and if honored, it would show British sensitivity towards India. The British government certified India's request and sent it to a district judge. Now that extradition process from the UK involves many steps, including a judge's decision to issue an arrest warrant. Well, in this case, the warrant, the person is arrested, brought before the court, which is what we saw, a preliminary hearing, followed by an extradition hearing that's going to happen May 17th, as we just heard. Then a final decision by the Secretary of State. The suspect in this case, Vijay Mallya, does have a right to appeal at all the high courts, including and all the way up to the Supreme Court. So this is far from over with regards to what this is going to all pan out in the coming weeks or in the coming months. So, this is what we're going to have to wait and watch. Let me now bring in an advocate from the Supreme Court, Vijay Panjwani, who's joining us via the phone. Thanks for joining us on India Prime. The legalities, where do we expect this to sort of shape out in your experience? How do we expect this to roll out in the coming days or coming months?
See, Mr. Vijay Mallya left India on his own accord.
Right.
With his own free will. Now he should honorably, with his own free will, return to India. This is point number one. Secondly, why did he leave India? Because he was being hounded here. Every government agency was after him. It had become a witch hunt. So he panicked and he ran away. He should not have run away, because people like Subroto Roy of Sahara Group are facing the courts, are going in and out of the jail. But they are facing the court. They are making their payments by and by, not the whole thing. And this amount of this so-called 9,000 crores is not a very big amount. It can be very easily be paid by Vijay Mallya over a period of 2 years. He has to come back and convince the authorities about these things. And so far as his arrest in India is concerned, he must negotiate in London that when he reaches Delhi, he will not be arrested. Thank you.
All right, let me now go back to our political discussion, bring in our guest back. Firstly, let me bring back Dr. Aijaz Ilmi, the spokesperson for the BJP. At this point, what are you promising India in terms of when Mallya is brought to justice? Is this all just a show of force? Could this have been done much earlier? Why wait so long? Or were there, in fact, legal processes that needed to be followed to get to this stage of the game? Dr. Ilmi, go ahead.
Now, as a responsible country, India would always follow due legal process, due diligence, and build a water right case and allow all procedures to be followed before we actually go after somebody. But the fact is there was never an intent earlier, and India was seen as a soft country where people could defraud us and walk all over us. So first time you're seeing this intent that you could be in a tax haven, you could be a defaulter, you could try and defraud, but the government is not going to sit back and allow and waste time, but work diligently towards following due process and getting back somebody like Dr. Mallya, who has looted the public and defrauded the nation of its valuable sources.
All right, I understand Dr. Mohammed wants to jump in. You had a response.
Yeah, what I want to say is that first, why was he let from the, he keeps saying that, you know, we have a responsibility, we have let him off the hook, you've let him leave the country when there were so many cases, just like the anchor said. Another thing, there's another person called Lalit Modi, who has also been let away by their government, by their own people. Ms. Swaraj was the one who allowed him to leave. There is, of course, the Rajasthan Chief Minister also involved. So why is, you know, why, you talk about getting all these people back, get back Lalit Modi, get back all, we are very happy that you're getting these people back, but first don't let them escape and then get them back, you know, to show that you are doing this. We've been putting pressure on this case for a very long time on Mr. Mallya coming back. So you let them escape and then you're saying we're getting them back.
All right, Dr. Omi, go ahead. You had a response.
Yes. Yeah, it's very clear. This is a very clear thing. You know, 1992, we had the External Affairs Minister, Mr. Madhav Singh Solanki, who went to the World Economic Forum in Davos, the Congress External Affairs Minister, and he actually spoke to René Felber, the Swiss investigators, to let the Bofors case die a natural death. I mean, here you have Arun Jaitley as a finance minister, the government of India led by Modi,
we are talking about
making sure that we are reaching out to the, in touch with the UK authorities. We will, yeah. You want to go back?
We are
I'll go back to
about
1992. Exactly what Madhav Singh Solanki did.
Many other things. We don't want to do that. We want our country
don't
and
shy
our
away.
people first.
Don't shy away from reality. We will not let our ministers
reality. We are asking you why did you let these two people get out of this country?
We will not be like Mr. Madhav Singh Solanki's.
We don't have.
We will not go and talk to our counterparts to dilute cases. We will talk to our counterparts.
We have never done that
too. And that's what this government is doing.
But was there undue haste? Was there undue haste in granting favors to Mallya?
I'm talking about 1992. Yes.
Let's, in the interest of time, was there undue haste in granting favors to Mallya? Let's start with Dr. Mohammed.
No, first and foremost, from our side, you're saying undue favors from where? From, is it the BJP government?
From the BJP government, correct.
Of course, they let him go. I mean, it's an obvious case. You yourself said that for investigative, I mean, there was a CBI which filed charges. There was a SEBI investigating him. There was the ED investigating him in July 2015. He left in March 2016. I mean, what did they do in this time? It was very simple. Just impound his passport. He cannot leave. You can do the investigations, but since it's a serious crime, like, you know, you impound the passport, which they did not do. That is what is the most important thing is they could have, you know, there has been, and also you have to understand he's a Rajya Sabha MP from by the BJP.
Passports are impounded by the court, Shaba. That's basics of law, jurisprudence. Passports are impounded by the court, not by governments.
Yeah, because the investigation, FIR was filed. Why was the investigation? If the investigation was filed, then the
I do want to interrupt. We understand from, we also heard that he had both an Indian passport and a UK passport.
Courts can impound passports.
That's not allowed. India does not allow two passports. It's an OCI. That's the only thing.
All right. Well, in the interest of time, we only have a few minutes, so I want to sort of wrap up this discussion. I know we can continue going on. I want to get a quick 3 final words from each of our guests on the show. Let me first start with Mandy Clark. 3 words to sort of sum this up with the discussion on what's next for Vijay Mallya.
Well, it's 3 words is very difficult, but what I can say, it's going to be a difficult, long legal battle. Looks like the way ahead from here.
All right, a long legal battle. Let me go to Raghavendra Rao. 3 words to sort of wrap up. What's next for the liquor baron?
Well, India is going to push for its case very strongly, and you know, it is going to lay all the evidence down before the UK courts, and this is you know, the sense which we get from the Indian establishment. They're not going to let him go.
All right, not going to let him go. All right, let me go to Dr. Ilmi with the BJP. 3 words with regards to what's next?
Well, it's difficult in 3 words, but I'll try. I think for Dr. Vijay Mallya, his time is up. Time is up.
Time is up. All right, let's try with our advocate from the Supreme Court, Vijay Panjwani. 3 words on what's next for Vijay Mallya.
The banks want the money back, not Vijay Mallya in jail.
Will the banks get it? Yeah.
Want the money back.
All right, and last but not least, let's go to our Congress spokesperson, Dr. Shah Mohammed. 3 words to wrap this up.
We want him back and pay back his loans to the people of this nation. That's what we want, and quickly, not for another 10 years, please.
All right, we appreciate everybody on this discussion tonight on India Prime, a very heated discussion, lots of perspectives, the political and the legal angle. Thank you so much for all of our panelists for your perspectives. And that does it for India Prime. I'm Archit Seshadri. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.